So, Daryl, if you remember from the episode yesterday, we read an article, Adelup and Gita keeping medical plan secret. So what's next on the card is Mendiola versus Limtiaco / Leon-Guerrero, the other governor, Leon-Guerrero. I forgot what Ray gave him a new name this morning. So like inmate Leon-Guerrero. Somebody help me refresh my memory if you were listening to Ray Gibson this morning, how Ken's new name is. Not the governor or the other governor, but something else.
He got demoted?
No, I think it's just another
Committed?
title. It was a lateral move.
Well, that sounds like a commitment to me.
It is. It's more of a descriptor, but than a title. However, today, and it hasn't been. I don't think there's a hard copy of it yet. I don't think I saw it in the paper, but on PDN website, there is a column. I'm going to say it's a column by. Oh, come on, Jose. Bum.
Yeah,
I forgot her name. Mendiola from Gita. I already forget her name. I'm so sorry.
Elise?
No, it's not. Let me look it up real quick. I'm embarrassed to say that I can't remember who her name is. And
anyway, about Ken, I thought someone threw his bail. I thought someone threw his bail.
Oh, I don't know. But anyways, she came out with a column, and it says here, here we go.
Oh, Kenvict.
Kenvict, there we go.
Kenvict, thank you so much.
Come on. Melanie, the Gita administrator, Melanie Mendiola. She put out a column, and it says here, the title is No Secret That Guam Needs Adequate, Modern, Efficient Healthcare Facilities. It is no secret that Guam is in need of adequate, modern, and efficient public health care facilities. From inception to completion, the planning of any project requires multiple phases and time. Planning for Guam's new medical campus is no exception. The process is complex, and for the last 2 years, it has involved numerous stakeholders as part of the, this is Chamorro again, Espetata Linatlata Planning Task Force. That's the name of it. Our Hospital, Our Life. Espetata Linatlata. I can't. I'm sorry for butchering it. Please don't call in and tell me I'm butchering it. I already know. During the first task force meeting on April 13th, 2021, Governor Leon-Guerrero set up an initial working group which involved multiple components of local government, including the Guam Economic Development Authority, Guam Memorial Hospital, the Department of Public Health and Social Services, the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, the Department of Land Management, the Community Defense Liaison Office, the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, members of the 36th Guam Legislature, and other stakeholder groups. The task force has since worked diligently to deliver an accessible, modern healthcare facility for the people of Guam. Serving as working committee members, advisors, or spectators, all who attend working group meetings have the opportunity to raise concerns for the working group to address. However, the meeting generally focuses on 3 themes: land and infrastructure, financing and medical services. Land and infrastructure, financing, and medical services.
Not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time. It's just a weird way they put that there.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
They said 3 themes.
Organization. That's right. There are 3.
But
land, financing, and medical services.
It's the commas that threw me off. The agenda for each meeting is extensive, and stakeholders are encouraged to contact working group members directly outside of these meetings regarding concerns that do not directly involve agenda items. All who have participated in our meetings process share a common objective to deliver accessible, high-quality health care to the people of Guam. Our goal is to build a medical campus that will expand public health care services and ease the need for off-island treatment. And I'm reading this fast because this is just, general information.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
There's a punchline. I think it's a very good punchline. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised. I haven't delved deep into it yet, but don't go away. There is a punchline. Our new medical campus will give our people not only a new hospital, but also a new home for public health and expansion of services for behavioral health. yada, yada, yada. It requires a substantial coordinated effort on part of everyone involved, but I think I speak for everyone who calls Guam home and anyone who has themselves endured or assisted a family member facing the struggle of having to travel off-island for life-saving care when I say it's worth it. To date, all discussions have been informed by reports, needs, assessments, and other documents going back to the 2012 Guam Medical Services Delivery Plan, in addition to new research and information as reported by attendees. Is that right? It goes back to 2012?
Well,
or is that a
studies are generally updated and have to really refer back to the previous studies.
Okay. Resources such as historic information, meeting minutes, Zoom recordings are available via 2 links, document and audiovisual. Okay, this is the minor punchline. They have been available. Not they now are available. They have been available via 2 links, documents and audiovisual files, and a password that Gita has provided to meeting attendees, reporters, community advocates, including our critics, primarily because the files are too large to be emailed. Ultimately, we plan to house this information on a dedicated website, but in the meantime, members of the public may request the link at Gita. Now, I have seen somebody's sunshine request, FOIA request, and I have seen a response from Gita about a link and or having all the information in one CD, right? Okay. But this is the first I've heard that it's been available, has been available, because remember, according to Steve Limtiaco of the Guam PDN, the governor's office and the Guam Economic Development Authority in May received electronic copies of the federally funded medical health care campus master plan, but will not make it public, stating the information still is in its draft form. That's what this article is about. Gita, in response to a Freedom of Information Act last week, gave the newspaper some of the information submitted by Matrix, but did not provide a copy of the medical campus master plan. Keywords, medical campus master plan. The governor's office last week also rejected the newspaper's request for a copy of the master plan, which is Task Order 9 under the consultant's contract. And then, according to a progress report submitted by Matrix, one of the required presentations to policymakers happened in May when the plan was 80% complete, and it's unclear which policymakers received the information. Gita Administrator Melanie Mendiola did not respond when asked when and where any presentations or forums were held for the Medical Campus Master Plan. Speaker Therese Terlahi last week said she is unaware of any presentations of the master plan.
And isn't she the chair of the Health Committee?
Yes, neither the Office of the Speaker nor the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture has received any notice of presentation for the proposed new medical campus for lawmakers, the medical community, and most especially for the people of Guam, said Terlahi, who is chairwoman of the Health Committee. That was yesterday's article from reporter Steve Limtiaco. I have yet to see anything in here in today's, or the column submitted by Melanie Mendiola that mentions anything about the new campus master plan. I don't know if that's the exact title.
What got me was at the very beginning of the article, very top of the article, says that these meetings have been open to the public. But then why did they arrest Ken?
Because that was a working meeting about employees and scheduling that was conducted by a construction company. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. That was the explanation, right?
Matrix.
So she goes on. I'm going back to Mrs. Mendiola's column here. Selection of the site for the new medical campus has been discussed openly during meetings and documented in PowerPoint presentations. Because pandemic restrictions were still in effect, Zoom meetings were widely used and recorded. This comprehensive review process, in which our community has had a substantial opportunity to participate, led to the selection of Eagles Field as a superior choice for the new medical campus, with alternates retained for planning purposes. Okay, so there was public participation or community participation, and that community participation led to the selection of Eagles Field, according to Mrs. Mendiola. Once Eagles Field was identified as the site for the medical campus, the governor invited the ancestral owners of Eagles Field to a meeting at Adaloop. which is followed by working committee meetings with representatives from families who once held an ownership interest in Eagles Field. I question that timeline. I think once Eagles Field was identified and reported to the media, then the Eagles Field ancestral owners got wind of it and they demanded a meeting with the governor. Come on. I know.
It's a cake. It has frosting. It's sweet.
I know.
Have a bite.
Not sure this is a really response. She's a very nice person. I've talked to her on the phone before. She's a very, very nice person.
She must be a baker, too.
She's a baker. She does put her recipes online. You can share it.
She's qualified.
While many of these families have been given contrary information, Eagles Field is not excess land. The military has made it abundantly clear that if the government of Guam does not construct the medical campus on the subject site, it will be retained by the military for other defense purposes. The fact that the property cannot be returned to ancestral landowners does not mean these families cannot be made whole, and our governor is committed to exploring possible paths to compensation for original owners for this site and others throughout the island. Governor Leon-Guerrero has tasked the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission to find a working solution to this decades-old problem. Now, remember, she is the administrator for GITA. Now it sounds like she is the spokesperson for Adelup in this paragraph alone. So I'm not sure what her comments on the Eagles Field ancestral landowners is about in pertaining to the process, right?
Isn't it better to have the administrator of GITA explain things than the spokesperson of the governor?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, it's campaign time, you know.
This is a very curious paragraph, you know. So, did she do? I'm not gonna. She's just earning her pay. I know. It's just, remember, Adelup GITA kept medical plans secret. But there is no secret that Guam needs adequate, modern, efficient health care facilities.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that. Okay. GITA is preparing the comprehensive medical action plan for wide circulation once key factors have been resolved. In the meantime, we have made voluminous data available to those with the patience to slog through it. So there's a lot. I learned about it's a data dump. I learned about the limitations of our medical system well when I had to care for my man. She goes on a personal story here. It's a good story. It's heartwarming, and you connect. I can connect to it.
She's qualified.
Yeah. So at the end, there's an editor's note that the governor's office provides the following link to download and view publicly available reports from the Guam Economic Development Authority. And it is the website where they have all the listings of everything GITA does. And you go to the very bottom, and I think there's the new hospital. It's something that indicates documentation from what she talked about, what Ms. Mendiola talked about here in this column. But that website is www.investguam.com/downloads. But if you go to the Guam PDN site, there are also a number of, I think on the website also that I just said, there's a number of passwords you have to put in order to access the zip files that are on this website. So, yeah, the secret is not our need for adequate, modern, efficient public health care facilities. It's what Steve Limchiako said. Where is the master plan? And I think some of the
hiding in plain sight.
You just have to search for it if you have patience to slog through it.
That's after you get the password.
That's after you get, and the password's there. They give it out, and I think just for software purposes, they have to put a password there. It's just a general thing, but it's not like because it's a secret. This information, but again. This is funny because I do know several people who have put in FOIAs for information of this and have gotten not just pushback, silence sometimes, or the runaround. And I think this is a interesting column that's put out with a link saying that this stuff has always been available, but the stuff that's being asked for specifically, is that available, and is that the stuff that's supposed to be available? And that's the question I think a lot of people have. This is a campaign issue that the governor is running on. this new hospital that's going to be built. We just need to. Let's see the plans then. Let's see what's going on. Let's see the progress of it. Don't just pile a bunch of data and say, you go through it. But we're going to have it done, but you go through the data and put it out. If somebody asks for something specific, then give them something. We do have... I'm gonna still refer to you as Ken Leon-Guerrero. Welcome to Tall Tales. I know that you were christened or bequeathed with a new name today. Was that accepted?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Okay. Ken Vick is on the line here on Tall Tales and would like to talk about the new GMH. Did you read this column? It just got put out about an hour or two before Tall Tales went on the air.
No, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I can tell you right now that there's probably not a single word of truth in there. Just from listening to your review of the story, because the reason those documents exist is because I had to go to court and get an order from a judge to force the governor to start releasing these documents. And the documents are not complete. And I'm going back and forth with legal counsel over Gita right now, because he's maintaining that those documents, that there are certain documents that they are not able to release. So, you know, I'm getting ready to go back in another couple of days. It's just I've been a little distracted by a sudden surge of legal problems. So
right.
I had to deal with that before I can re-engage with Gita and get the rest of the documents.
But have you been aware of this website with the link to certain documents and a password? I mean, she did say that they've always been available.
They haven't been available.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they were created as a result of my FOIA and my court order. And I still remember when they were in the process of uploading them and they were asking me to be patient and tolerant while they get these documents uploaded to the website, because there's so many of them that it would be cheaper for me and more convenient for me if I waited till they put everything up on the website. And they're absolutely right about that. You know, at 10 cents a page, it would have been a lot cheaper for me to do it this way. So what we ended up with is we had a lot of documents, but no meat. You know, I mean, how can you price a hospital at $871 million when you don't have the land, you haven't done the soil survey, you don't know what the foundation requirements or the drainage or anything is going to be, when you don't have a design of a building upon which to base your costing on? Because when I saw the documents and they were talking $871 million for this hospital, it's already gone up $100 million since November. You know, November 2021, they were talking about $700 million. Now we're at 871. So without even designing a building or having a design to cost, and I thought that was ludicrous. So I went and looked at a number of hospitals that have been designed and are under construction in the last couple of years. I went to the United States and looked at, and also American Samoa, and looked at the proposals there. And these are numbers that were based on plans, actual plans that had been drawn up and given to construction companies to bid on. And the prices that we're seeing in the United States are, for a 150-bed hospital, are around $300 to $370 million. Now, I remember when the Army Corps was first here, there was a press release. They were talking about 175 to renovate, 425 to build new. But I can't find that number anymore. And then you go to American Samoa, and now American Samoa, they have a 150-bed hospital too. And a year before Guam, the Army Corps went there and did an estimate. And now, bear in mind, American Samoa has worse logistics than Guam. They don't even have the level of construction capability that we do have here on Guam. So you would think that anything that they're going to build in American Samoa would be a lot more expensive than what they're going to build here on Guam, size-wise. 150-bed hospital. Over there in American Samoa, for some reason, the Army Corps can do it for $435. $390 to $435 is their quote for building in American Samoa. How did we get up to 871 for the same sized hospital, in spite of the fact we have active buildup right now? We have large construction companies already on island, and we have better logistics than American Samoa has. So that's why there's a lot of things that need to be drilled down on, because it's like, the territory of Washington, D.C. is building a 136-bed hospital in Washington, D.C., where land is just about as expensive. And we're talking about a union area, so we know construction costs are going to be very expensive in the D.C. area. They're building a 136-bed for $325 million.
Well, I think the big question is there something that could be accessed or looked at that would confirm the assertion that the governor put out during, I think, her first debate on stage with Michael St. Nicholas, the medical field debate, where she talked about the hospital plans are already in effect, she sounded like there's much more progress than we're seeing as far as documents go. There's not even any kind of commitment or contract to have any ground breaking or anything like that, has there?
Let's take her statement. In her statement, she said that the planning meetings have already been had. She lied. In her statement, she said the charrettes have already been done. She lied. And in her statement, she said that the key stakeholders have been involved in the planning session. She lied. Because none of the documentation that I've received can back up any single one of those statements. So in the absence of proof that there have been public notices, that meetings have been held, sign-in logs have been created and people have signed in, testimony has been given. There was a Q&A session between the Army Corps of Engineers, who was supposed to do the charrette. Remember, there was a press release.
Right.
They requested money from Interior to pay the Army Corps to do the charrette. $3 to $4 million, I believe the figure is. And we still haven't had the charrette, even though she claimed in that interview on KUAM that the charrette has already been done. And they have a plan. But that's why I went to the GITA in the first place. I tried to verify every statement she made there, and it took 2 months for me to get to the point where I'm starting to get some documentation. But nowhere in any of that documentation is a plan.
Right.
And you see that there should have been incremental presentations. When you look at the deliverable on this $1.9 million contract, these are the deliverables. These are the dates that they are supposed to be delivered by, and these are the actual work product, which is in hard copy and electronic format. So none of those things exist.
I have a question, Ken.
Sure.
I'm just asking, just generally, because I really don't know, and this is interesting. The $871 million, is that possibly a figure that is talking about how much it will cost by the time this whole construction is paid off? No. That's a whole different document. And if you go to a video I did on my point of view talking about the Dog and Pony Show, you will see the actual documents that I post there. What they're talking about is after we put down a payment of $300 million, the taxpayers of Guam will be paying $69 million a year for 40 years. So you take 70, let's round it up to 70. 70 million times 40 years is 2.8 billion plus 300 million. We're talking 3.1
billion for this project that's going to be carried on the back of 40,000 households, 80% of them who are working in low-wage service sector jobs here in our tourism industry. That is not a sustainable project. If we took that $300 million and first of all took $21 million and fixed the critical items that the Army Corps did identify and did cost out and spent $21 million there, we'd have a much more effective Guam Memorial Hospital on its present footprint that should be able to provide a better, and this is a quote from the Corps, a better quality service for whether or not we are going to renovate or build. This will provide better service facility for 5 years. And it will also meet the requirements of accreditation. 21 million. What did we do? We sent 50 million to Guam Visitors Bureau.
But it looks like a lot of
21 million.
The bottom line, I think, in all of this is there's more questions than there are documentation and answers to those questions, especially on pronouncements and answers given during interviews by the governor. I just want to read one of the great pronouncements that Bob Klitsky has documented himself. He didn't cite when it was said, but here's the Governor LG, where she says, "We are transparent and accountable to the people. We are transparent with reports, meetings, and minutes. As far as I'm concerned, we are following everything that we are required to do." So we're going to hold that to her and hold her words to it. But how much of a declared executive health emergency muddies those waters and doesn't allow us to see as much as we ought to be seen, because technically she's the one in charge and can obscure or even walk around transparency.
Do you mind if we take do you mind, Ken? And do we mind if we take a break here and then we'll come back to the call?
Yeah, don't go away, Ken. Yeah,
no.
Because this is I'm having a hard time. This is mind-boggling to me, and I'm sympathetic, and I'm going, why isn't this the headline in the paper? This is okay.
Well, he asked a good question, so when we come back, we'll pick up on that question that he just raised.
You're listening to Tall Tales with Ken Leon-Guerrero, Daryl Haggerty, and Jose on the other side. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We're going to do the 7th inning stretch.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Does your physical workplace have an impact on the mental outlook of workers, their overall job satisfaction, and their productivity? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll talk about that and what you might want to do about it. It's The Extra Point here on 93.3.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
The Guam Chamber of Commerce celebrates its 98th anniversary at the Hyatt Regency Guam, September 24th, 2022. This year's theme, Purple Rain. Its membership comprises many corporations, large and small entrepreneurs, women-owned and veteran-owned businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Their contributions make Guam an excellent place to live, work, and play. The Guam Chamber also salutes many of its members for celebrating milestone anniversaries, aged 25 to 75 years. Let's congratulate the Guam Chamber of Commerce and its members on celebrating its 98th anniversary. Feedback.
Seventh inning stretch, Wrigley Field. We are here at Tall Tales speaking about the master secret. Not too sure what to make of Melanie Mendiola's column that's going to probably be published hard copy tomorrow in tomorrow's issue. There's a couple of things that I'm interested in, according to Steve Limpiago's article here in the PDN yesterday. He said, according to Matrix, the following tasks for the campus master plan already are complete: an analysis of preferred sites for the medical campus, including the strengths and weakness of possible sites, alternative courses of action, the criteria for site selection, a milestone chart, a summary of ancillary services at the site, such as training dormitories, and a rough order of magnitude of project costs. I'm very interested in seeing that, because that to me is kind of like the something to grasp onto, that we can, something that's tangible, other than talking about other than just a document dump and saying this is what we've been doing, and we've been transparent this whole time. When we went to break, Daryl, we had a question from Daryl, and remind us what your question was, Daryl.
No, I just wanted to. I needed to take a break here because I needed that break just to let the information.
To absorb everything.
Yeah, because this information should have been revealed in the course of things. This is what we're doing. It would have made great campaign, a great campaign support for Lou. If we'd known what was going on, except for the bottom line, that $871 million.
Well, let's take it back to the question that Jose brought up as we're going into the stretch, where the governor declared that she was going, and she, on the campaign trail, in the debates, and in her inaugural address, and in her first State of the Island address, she made a bold claim that she would be the most transparent and accountable administration in the history of Guam. And in her State of the Island address, she claimed she had been in the first 4 months. And as a active community advocate and for all intents and purposes, the voice of loyal opposition, I can tell you that this has not been a transparent administration in any way, shape, or form. When I as a citizen have to take the governor to court to get her to comply with the FOIA law, that, it's one of the laws of Guam and the United States that she swore to obey and uphold in her address. And yet I have to go and spend my money to get her to do her job and to follow the laws. That shows you how untransparent, how unresponsive she is. Now, it goes back to, Daryl can vouch for the fact that I have been actively engaged in trying to help GMH, because he sat there in the chair next to me at a number of meetings at GMH, trying to help the administration out of some serious challenges that they were facing. So this didn't just happen. I've been doing this since 2012, 2013. I've been engaging and interacting and working with, as a community advocate, trying to improve the healthcare system here on Guam. I was the vice chairman of the Policy and Advocacy Committee of the Non-Communicable Disease Consortium for many years.
Well, I appreciate the resume list you have there. I'm not questioning your questions. I think anybody, and I have a sliver of that type of credibility to be asking questions on an official level, but as a private citizen and a citizen of Guam, I'm very interested in this. This is a huge project, and it seems to be like, let us do the work and make all the decisions, and you guys are going to like the results, whether you see what's happening or not. We should be seeing every single part of the process clearly. There should be weekly reports, I think, for a project this huge. I don't know. To me, that's my opinion, and it doesn't seem like we're going to get that until either after the health emergency is over, or we get a new administration in office.
Even the health committee could be having periodic hearings on the progress of this. It's a good subject.
Just an announcement sometime around 4:30 that the health committee at the legislature is going to be holding oversight onto this project. But here's something that really scares the hell out of me. Puerto Rico went to the federal government for federal receivership when they issued so many bonds that the debt service exceeded their ability to cover the debt service and operate the government. We are getting close because at the time the government of Puerto Rico went to Washington, D.C. in 2016 to get a federal receiver to take over the finances of the territory of Puerto Rico, we were like about $688 difference in per capita debt. Right now, we're spending almost $100 million on debt service for the various debts government, and that doesn't even include the leases on the educational facilities. This is just bond debt, $100 million a year debt service. This project, if it goes through the way they're talking about it now, and we know the government of Guam has never, ever, ever brought a project in within 25% of their projected cost. I mean, look at the museum. It was supposed to be $20 million. I think it came in at $40 million. The palace for the utility palace out in Manila was supposed to be like $18 million and came in at $29 million. So if they're projecting $871 for this building, we're looking at $1 billion or more just for that part of it. So at $69 million a year, we're almost doubling the debt service of government of Guam, which means right now 1 out of 5 tax dollars collected goes to paying debt service. When we get to this point, we're looking at $2 out of every 5 collected are going to go to debt service.
Right,
and
right.
that's going to cripple this island. And my fear is that we're going to end up at the point where we get a receiver, and right off the bat, when the receiver went to Puerto Rico, the first thing they did is they closed half the schools. And then they laid off, I forget what it was, something like about 30, 33, 34% of all government employees. They cut payrolls across the board, cut retirement benefits across the board. They cut health care across the board. And they were in the process of getting quotes to sell the airport, the commercial port, and public beaches.
Right. You know, before
Do
we get to
want to get there?
Yeah, we don't want to get there. And I, again, I want to come back to this new hospital and already the decision where the grounds are, where it's going to be built at Eagles Field, because again, I think there's still a lot of questions about that site to begin with, especially when we see reports that missile sites are being considered there. There's other.
I was waiting for you to get there.
There's other things that have been involved with that site that has nothing to do with the hospital that would probably put that location on pause or off the list, including, you know, the military always has to have these programmatic agreements with any time they clear areas to build.
Yep.
Does this project have the same mandates to have those agreements and those types of studies done before they build there? Or is this not included because it's a GovGuam project? You know, those are a lot of things that I have questions. I have never seen any answers in any of the interviews or even pushbacks from some of these advocacy groups that tend to go after the military for these things. But when something as huge as a new hospital is being built on grounds that I would say have not had human, contact for a little bit, as far as buildings or urban contact, that there would be some sort of study done on the area.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you consider that was an antenna field for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And Daryl can tell you about the cleanup requirements around antenna fields, because, the antenna fields they basically just have huge metal containers of carcinic chemicals that have a tendency to leak and spill over the years. I mean, look at Cocos over the Lauren site,
Ken,
But
what do you think it's going to take? What do you think it's going to take to get more people curious about this huge project that's supposed to be already in the works and done, but we don't have any paper to look at? What's it going to take for even citizens to become more curious about their money or going into a project that could be a hole?
How about a general election campaign?
What you're doing right now is doing that, because before I got on the radio, I went to check the post office.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was at the post office in Agania, a bunch of government of Guam employees who had recently gotten off work and were checking the post office, I ended up having like a 25, 30-minute public explanation session talking about why and what I found so far and things like that. The people of Guam are really, really interested about this for three reasons. One, it's the worst possible location. And when you look at the documents, they only looked at three locations: Government of Guam, Eagles Field, and next door to Guam Regional. You know, they didn't look at any place else. And we actually have in Government of Guam inventory a lot of land that is better suited for development, better suited for a hospital than Eagles Field. For example, the lot I like is where Hokoboten building is next to ITC. That whole area, we have a Government of Guam lot. We have a base yard that is GPA, but we could move that. And then we have Tropicolor. And that is all that land right there is Government of Guam. We could build a hospital there, right there. And I mean, to give you a relativity, she wants 116 acres, God knows why. Whereas right there, Kapiolani Women and Children is on 6 acres of land, and it's right in downtown Honolulu. They are in the process of building a new hospital on site. So they're building a new hospital while they're still operating the old hospital. They're going from 200,000 square feet and a 300-car garage to 450,000 square feet, a 1,000-car garage on 6 acres. Why do we need 116 acres?
Yeah. And it's possible to build a brand new hospital around the old hospital. I grew up in Hawaii as a kid, and I remember how old and pink Tripler Hospital was. And when I went back there in 2000, I was like, this is not the Tripler I remember. And it's brand spanking. Well, it was about 10 years ago, but and it's built around the old hospital. They didn't have to shut everything down. I don't know what the condition GMH is as opposed to the old Tripler, but why is it that we have to have a whole other brand new location?
I mean, I tried to get GMH because when I went there, I've had a big issue with parking there.
Oh yeah.
And so when I went there on the day of my arrest, I went there at 7:30 in the morning, and now they've got all these signs up. The right-hand parking lot is for employees only, and the parking lot between the hospital and Guam Behavioral Wellness, that's for employees only. There's one parking lot. Yeah, the left parking lot, as you're facing the hospital, is for patients and guests. I'm there at 7:20 in the morning, and it is full. So what do you think the chances are about 500 patients and guests were there at 7:20 on a Wednesday morning?
Right.
So I tried to get them to use the old hospital site because there are like 6 parking lots there, and have the employees parked there and just run a shuttle. We got all these golf carts, so just have these golf carts, shuttle employees back and forth, have
infamous
the golf carts run every 15 minutes,
Right. It's funny. I know that the administrator Mendiola was probably trying to help put out some fires with her column. I think she opened up even more questions. And hopefully open up more people to be curious about this project. I want to thank you for your call, Ken. Please keep up the good work. Thank you for not talking about the campaign. I'm going to charge you if you do, but or Ray would probably do that. But
I'm wearing my community advocate hat that I've been wearing for 15 years.
Very good, and we have been listening to you and watching things that you've done. So again, thank you for calling in. Again, it's all about transparency, and I think that's all we can ask for because that's what was promised. Have a good day, Ken.
Absolutely.
All right, take it easy. You're listening to Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM. We're going to Churchill Downs and the end of the program. Don't go away.